Hello, good day everyone. Sir Kevin here again, and I'm working safer at home. And welcome back to our discussion. And today we'll be having the chapter 5 for our marketing management class, the understanding consumer and businesses as part of the buyer behavior. And that's a continuation of our chapter 4, which is the managing in marketing information to gain customer insights. So we will be digging deeper. So if we talk about the statistics and a group of people as part of our decision making. Now, we'll be focusing more on the reason why people purchase a product or service. Why people purchase a product or service. So, I think you have this question in mind that why there are various of models or units that a company must sell, no? Bakit iba-iba ng unit, iba-iba ng produktong kailangang ibenta? So, it's because the buyer behavior differs from one group to another, no? So, merong kanya-kanyang taste, and this chapter will be talking more about that, no? And as part of our analyzing the market environment, kasali syempre yung pagtingin natin sa buyer behavior. But before we start, I would like to run down through our objectives. So first, you may be able to understand the consumer market and the major factors that influence the consumer buy behavior. That's our major objective, is to know what are the reason behind a purchase. And then two is identify and discuss the stages in buyer decision process. So how was it done, and then describe the adaptation and diffusion process for new products, and then define business markets and identify major factors and influence business buyer behavior. Lastly, list and define the steps in the business buying decision process. At some point, yeah, it's a trend right now. Why there are different variants? Why is there color red and green and blue? Some other products. How about have you heard of the light model, the pro model, the max model, no, and the plus model? No, I think you have heard all of that. No, so let's start. So it's called the consumer buying behavior, and this refers to the buying behavior of individuals and household who buy goods and services for personal use. So it's the basic behavior of people towards the product. So these people make up the consumer market. If you remember, the meaning of market is the group of people, no, na composed of group of people, no, and na with the same demand, no. So dun nagko-constitute yan. The central question for marketers is how do consumers respond to various marketing efforts the company might use. So, do you think that these strategies may be good for them? So, this kind of product, these kinds of features, no? This kind of marketing strategy, advertising and sales promotion. How about the price? No? So, it all boils down to their behavior. No? So, some like this, some wants this. No? So there are model of consumer behavior. Your marketing mix factors and other external stimuli are inputs into buyers black box. So meron siyang parang model or structure on how they come up with their decision. So it's first there's a stimuli, na? So ibig sabihin merong nagko-constitute dun sa feedback nila. So stimuli are evaluated in light of the buyer's decision in process of the buyer's characteristics. And buyer responses include formation of attitudes and preferences, purchase behavior, and the development of relationship between the brand or the firm. So if you remember our topic last in the chapter 4, that you are doing getting the customer insight to gain customer insight, it's because you're maintaining relationships to them, no? Okay, so the consumer buying behaviors is influenced by the following factors. We have cultural factor, then social factor, personal factor, and psychological factors. Let's just talk first about the cultural factor. So culture is the most basic cause of person wants and behaviors. That's the way you are raised, the environment you are in, affects their decision. So culture is learned from a family, church, school, peers, or colleagues. So what have you established there, and kung ano yung ugali na meron kayo at some point nagiging basehan mo sa decision mo. So if you're raised with a family that get to see the quality first more than the quantity, no? So na-develop yung behavior mo na ganun. Then the culture reflects basic values, perceptions, wants, and behaviors. And cultural shift create opportunities for new products or may otherwise influence consumer behavior. No, but that's one thing that we are not that culture may change, may vary. No, so pwedeng magbago yan through time, especially when perceptions and the culture had changed, no? Okay, so there's what we call subculture. Your subculture are groups of people with shared values, systems based on the common life experiences. So you have the same brand, or you are under one group with the same behavior. Na parang in some social sciences lecture, it's subculture, ibig sabihin subgroup, no? Yun, subgroup na mas maliliit na grupo na mas may pare-pareho, distinct na pagkakatulad-tulad, no? So just like yan, Hispanic consumers, African American consumers, Asian American consumers, no? How does that differ? I would like to tell you that the subcultures tells something about our preferencing, no? Just how about Japanese consumers or Japanese culture, wherein they prioritize quality over the price. So that's why many of their products are standard quality or above average, in fact, no? So there are culture naman that they allow, oh, okay na yan, pwede na yan, pang disposable lang, no? So it happens in other consumer markets, no? So we also have the social class. If you remember our topic within demographics and economics, no, that's chapter 3, the analyzing the market environment, no, and also in chapter 4, gaining their customer insight, no. Social class is the relativity of their economic status and purchasing power, no. So societies relatively permanent and ordered division whose members share similar values, interests, and behavior, measured by a combination of occupation, income, education, wealth, and other variables. And class categories include upper class, middle class, working class, and the lower class. So, for example, it is used in some other markets. They categorize their markets as market A, B, C, D, and E. No, so that's the lower class, yung letter E, or in social science and other references, they call that the poor, no, or the marginalized, no? So those are lower class. So our behavior depends on also how do we how do we react on certain products and services offered in the market, and their marketing strategies also may depend coming from the influence of your social class where you belong, no? So syempre kung galing ka sa nakakababa, yung pwede na yan, basta magagamit lang, di ba? So that affects your behavior. Then your social factors includes the groups and social networks, is the membership, the reference, aspirational groups. Marketers attempt to reach opinion leaders within groups, no? Important to target market. No? Opinion leaders are recruited as brand ambassadors or for bus marketing. And online social networks allow marketers to interact with the customers. That's one good advantage of the online marketing right now. No, the digital marketing, wherein we can interact directly to the customers. If you remember chapter 4, that a way to collect data is for survey, and also this feedback mechanism coming from the consumers. What if it's also directly coming from them, no? So also you may also do a bus marketing and recruit a brand ambassador, no? That may influence them. As part of our culture and of our society, we look up into these people, no, that they may be experts of. That's why we always watch reviews, no, before purchasing, particularly if you are into that brand or group class category of a product, no? So your social factors also is affected by a family, no? It's because family is the smallest social unit, no? Your family strongly influences by your buying behavior. That's what I mentioned also in the cultural factor, because as we are part of the society, gender stereotypes for certain types of purchases are relaxing in the US, so nagiging gender neutral na, no? And children are very influential and have a substantial disposable income of their own. Of course, right now, meron na silang allowances, no? And then also, may pambili na sila, particularly in the online market, no? So, nakakabili na sila, and hindi na lang yung mga mas nakakatanda ang mga bumibili right now, no? So also roles and status, no? As social factor, we need to establish and to identify what are the roles and the status. So your buying behavior may also be coming from these two, the role or your status in the society. So what is your role? Let's for example, you are a manager, or you are the boss, no? That's part of the status. Or you are the head, or you are a celebrity. Of course, your buying behavior may be affected with that, because of course people are looking up to you. People may see what you purchase. That's no, yung okay na yan, no? uh, yung iba kasi we got to experience is that many are looking up to us and seeing what we do and also what we purchase, no? At some point we are affected by those audiences because of our role and status, that there's a certain thing that push us to what we do. That's what they call the expected activities from us, no? Then also there are personal factors that your buying preference may be affected by your age and the life cycle, no? Many according to statistics, no, the group of people nung bata sila mas gusto nila yung colorful, no, nung tumatanda na sila they get to purchase lighter colors, or even what do you call that, neutral colors, no? Parang classic, parang ganun. So it depends upon the age and the life cycle or the stage. Minsan there are factors, no? Medyo masalimot kasi all of these factors, no? Kung babalikan lang din lahat natin yung pinag-usapan natin kanina, all of these factors may affect one another, especially on making decision, no? Your occupation may influence the purchase of the clothing and other goods. For example, you're an online teacher. Of course, you should not just buy a simple headset or a noise cancellation microphone, but you'll be purchasing those with good specifications for you to be able to deliver better online lessons. So it depends, no? Okay, also we go back to the economic situation as part of the personal factor, that some goods and services especially are income sensitive, no? At some point these are the needs, no, the commodities that according to syempre bibilin mo muna yung mga pangangailangan. By the way, we'll be discussing more about that in the other motivational factors, no? Economic situation often influences your choice of store as well, no? Where do you go, how much do you spend, no? Of course, yung mga lower income families, they won't choose to go to Starbucks. Syempre bibili na lang sila ng 3-in-1, or baka magtubig na lang, di ba? So it depends. But again, we are doing these discussions because there are certain factors, and you as marketing manager may see that type of group of people that you can take advantage of what kind of marketing strategies you may do, no? So your personal factors also is wherein people within the same subculture, social class, and occupation may have different lifestyle. no? Because depende, again, it's where we live, how we are raised. Your lifestyle is the pattern of living as expressed in his or her activities, interests, or opinions. So if you there are rich people that buy those simple things and yung mumurahin kaya nakakapag-save sila. No? There are those naman na kahit wala nang matira sa kanila, bibilin pa rin yan, no? Because we have different lifestyle. So people buy the lifestyles represented by products or services. Dito na tayo papasok dun sa the brand and the image wherein that brand reflects a social status, a brand reflects an occupation, a brand or product reflects the profession, no? Or it reflects the necessity of acquiring that. For example, if you are an IT person, of course, mas specific, no? Yung yung kailangan mo, especially kung ang trabaho mo nga ganun and part of your lifestyle is to do that, no? Of course, that affects your decision. And your personality, ito yung pinaka masalimuot do dahil nga iba-iba tayo ng personality, refers to the unique psychological characteristic that distinguish a person or a group. No, dito na papasok kung anong kulay ang gusto mo, no, anong size, ergonomics, no, paano yung design, no, iba-iba tayo ng tingin eh. So generally defined in terms of traits, and self-concept theory suggests that people's possessions contribute and reflect to their identities. Now, what do they have? Then brands may also have personalities. Of course, they reflect what I mentioned earlier. They reflect something, social status. Uh, for some of the, especially those luxury brands. Uh, so that leads us to motivation. A motive or a drive is a need that is sufficiently pressing to direct the person to seek satisfaction. So that idea is coming from the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Explain why people are driven by needs at particular times. If you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, no? But dito pwede nating mapagtahi-tahi yung mga nabanggit kanina. That the Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells us that we need to satisfy first the physiological need. What we call the what do we mean by the physiological needs? Your physiological needs means the survival needs. No, ibig sabihin you may not able to survive without this. That's the food, clothing, shelter, and the likes. No? Habang tumataas yung economic status, habang tumataas yung role mo at saka yung status mo, no? Habang nag-iiba yung occupation mo and the income as well, no? And also nag-iiba yung group of people that you are dealing with, nag-iiba din yung needs, no? O tumataas din yung needs. So at the second level, we have the safety needs, no, wherein halimbawa you just need water as for the survival needs. Pero of course, if you're thinking of safety now, no, mineral water na bibilin mo. That speaks money. No? Tumataas din yung lifestyle, no? Kanya nga sabi nila, hindi nakakaipon yung marami because tumataas din lifestyle nila, no? And then the social needs, the need for belongingness, no? We always that need to be belong with a group of people, no? So it's also a need that natin, no? Para tanggapin ka ng ibang tao. The esteem needs and self-actualization is, of course, that talks about you personally, that you have needs to be ano na yung nagawa mo, what have you accomplished. It's a rationalization of yourself, no? So nagli-lead din sa factors on purchasing things, no, purchasing goods. No? Hierarchy implies that lower level needs physiological first, no, to be satisfied first, no? That leads us to the comparison wherein what status or what occupation do you have, what income level do you have, because that leads us to idea of what motivates them. No, of course, kung ikaw ay nasa lower level status, of course you need to purchase physiological needs first, no? At some point yung ibang mga kailangan yung bilhin o gusto nyong bilhin, yung pwede na, no? At least meron ka to satisfy yourself, no? It's because sakto lang yung kinikita nila, no? Yun yung isa diyan eh, no? Yung isa sa factors no bakit nagiging hierarchy yung motivation natin, no? So, and habang tumataas, mas tumataas din yung yung just like the esteem needs, no? Kahihiyan naman ang pinag-uusapan and self-actualization. We do you purchase a higher unit because there's a certain pride that you own a premium item, no? And the likes, no? Okay. So, psychological factors involve perception. It's the process by which people select, organize, interpret information to form a meaningful pictures of the world. Perception can be influenced by your selective attention, your selective distortion, and selective retention. So, how do they differ? Huh? Your selective attention is ano yung mga tinitingnan mo lang. Of course, that's depends on you. Selective distortion naman is ano yung mga bine-blur mo at ito lang ang titingnan mo. And ano yung mga mini-maintain mo, ini-stay mo lang dun sa isip mo. So that's retention, no? So nasa sa yan eh. In even the group of people na sasamahan mo, you're selective, no? So psychological factors, of course, it's influenced by your learning. It's defined as changes in an individual's behavior arising from experience. Of course, natuto ka na. That's why nagbabago yung behavior mo, yung perception mo sa isang produkto. It occurs due to an interplay of drive, stimuli, cues, responses, and reinforcement, strongly impacted by the consequences by an individual behaviors. Behaviors with satisfying results tend to be repeated. Of course, no? Dahil nakita nila it's good, so umuulit-ulit 'yan, no? Merong repurchase. Your motivation as well as the way you decide for yourself is also affected or influenced by beliefs and attitude. So, your beliefs and attitude, a descriptive thought that a person holds about something, may pinapaniwalaan ka, no? Just like the belief that magiging maswerte tayo pag bumili tayo ng 12 prutas. Pero lampas na yun sa physiological need natin na kumain kasi sobrang dami na ng pagkain pag medianoche, no, pag New Year. So, no, it's just affected also by our influence from our beliefs and attitudes. No? Your attitude, a person's consistently favorable or unfavorable evaluation, feelings, and tendencies towards an object or the idea. So it's the intuition. It's also the how do people think about it. No? It's the attitude. No? Okay. So this is the buying behavior process. Of course, there's need for recognition. That's why nagpapatalastas yung iba para mapakilala yan. That will really help you to constitute a buying decision to other people, to markets, that of course they recognize you. Then they are able to search information to you, no? And then they can see you as an alternative kung nagpapakilala ka bilang bagong new product, no? And then their purchase decision, and of course their post-purchase behavior. In online marketing, they have that purchase decision and so on. And the post-purchase behavior wherein they got to review and share it with other people. No? Okay. So, need recognition information search can be triggered by internal and external stimuli. Several sources of information may be used during information search. Personal sources, commercial sources, public sources, and experiential sources. Ito nga, word of mouth marketing and also internally from your marketing activities or your advertising activities, no? Pinapakilala mo yan, and some others are telling. And of course, word of mouth marketing is one of the costless strategies in marketing. Of course, if they are satisfied, when customer relationship management kicks in and there's a brand loyalty na establish mo, of course, sila na magsasabi kung gaano kaganda yung produkto. And these are your priceless assets. No? So evaluation of alternatives in your purchase decision. Evaluation process is dependent upon the specific buying situation, individual consumers, wherein yun nga, yung first two steps depende sa iyo, and also what market do you have na, no? But evaluation of alternatives and purchase decision is, of course, how did you see the situation and the group of people, your market, no? So the behavior of your consumers, no, para mag-constitute ng purchasing decisions nila, no? Their attitudes and other situational factors, tulad na nabanggit kanina, what constitute for their purchase. And lastly, the post-purchase behavior will tell that is their expectation is their uh, satisfaction or the utilization exceeded their expectation. When it is exceeded by their expectation, no? Exceeded their expectation, of course, no? There's satisfaction. So as you can see in the slide, when performance is less than the expectation, it's a disappointment. When performance is equals expectation, satisfaction. But when they exceeded expectation, it becomes a delight. No? So that is where the marketing mixes kicks in, no? To constitute this buying behavior. Okay? A buyer's doubt shortly after a purchase about whether it was the right decision is called a cognitive dissonance. Of course, there are always part of us that doubts, no? But it's just part of the thinking process, no? Kanya nga dapat mapatunayan natin na um, it performs good and maybe exceed their expectations. Okay? There are stages in the adoption process. Of course, ipakilala mo yan, that's awareness, lalo na kung bagong produkto, no? Ipakilala mo yan, that's why many of the products are advertised, no? Okay, and then that leads us to the interests. Consumer seeks information about the new product. Of course, they get to compare it, no? And if merong awareness, of course there will be interest na ipapakita yung tao dyan. And then evaluation is considering whether trying a new product that makes sense, no? Magiging option ka na sa kanila because kung bago yan at napakilala, there's a certain interest about it. That's why many of the companies pay reviewers or commission reviewers or talk to reviewers to get the interest of the people, no? And then the evaluation, yun nga, pipili. And then subukan nila. At kapag nasubukan at nag-exceed na expectation, there's a time that people may adapt with this new product. Yung makalipat ka na. Makalipat na yung mga tao. No? There's a categorization of that adapting process. There are what you call innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Individual difference influence the speed with which people will try new products, yielding 5 adapters category. Ito, innovators, madali. No? Trying lagi ng bago, that's why innovate. Early adopters, yung madali. And then, the early majority and the late majority. Okay. And yun nga, sabi nga ng slide, hindi iba-iba kasi ng grupo, no, ng nag-a-adapt yan. But of course, merong magagawa ang marketing diyan, no? So, product characteristics that influence the rate of adoption is, of course, is the innovation superior to existing product, bago, no? Relative advantage, no, kung maganda yung produkto. It's compatibility. Does the innovation fit the values and experience of the target market? Is the innovation difficult to understand or use? That's the complexity. No? Or how about marami siyang pwedeng gawin? That's also maybe a complexity. Divisibility, can the innovation can be used on a limited basis, and the communicability, can the results be easily observed and described to others. So these are the product characteristics that rates adoption process. Okay, now that lead us to our next part. Earlier we are discussing the consumers, or the last line, no, ng mga customers natin. Um, a business can also target other businesses. That's what we call a business market. No, the business markets that also have the business buyer behavior. Remember what I've told you in our past discussion. They have a business has an artificial being, and of course it's composed of people. That's why there are also uh, certain buyer behavior present in an organization or in a business enterprise. So business behavior refers to the buying behavior of the organization that buy goods and services. If kung kanina it's the consumer, how do they what's the reason that constitute their buying behavior? There are also reasons why businesses buy products. No? So business market is a huge market is huge and involve far more than dollars and items than consumer markets. Kasi nga mas malaki sila, no? In economics called this business are using these capital goods. Ginagamit nila yung products mo na magamit sa kanilang negosyo, or pwedeng ibenta ng wholesaling or retailing, no? Ito yun or gamitin nila lahat, parang pakyawan kumbaga, no? So yun yung purpose ng business market. So you just not sell for final consumers. So it depends on the market structure and demand, no? This business markets contains far fewer but larger buyers, no? Konti sila pero maraming binibili. Business demand is derived from the consumer demand. Of course, galing sila sa tao. No, kasi binubuo ng tao yung business. Business markets have more fluctuating demands because it changes, and also as part of the behavior of organization, of course they will choose products and services that makes their life easier and more productive kumbaga, no, that affects their decision process, no? The nature of buying unit is business purchases involves more decision participants, hindi lang na isang tao kundi grupo ng tao, no? It's made decided by the group of people, of course, just like the board of directors or the president or the marketing team of this or the technical team of this organization, no? So medyo mahirap, no, matagal bago mo makuha, no? Business buying involves a more professional purchasing effort, no? Of course mas maraming activities, or mas specific pala, no? Mas professional yung mga activities that you may imply, no, dito sa business markets mo. Key differences exist between business and consumer buying situation is businesses buyers usually face more complex buying decision. Ito yung nabanggit ko kanina. Maraming proseso at maraming grupo ng taong involved dyan. The business buying processes tends to be formalized, of course. Kailangan ng pirma, kailangan ng proseso. Buyers and sellers are much more dependent on each other in business markets. Of course. There are different buying situations. Straight rebuy, because routinely you reorders, no? Bibili ka na lang ulit, na-satisfy ka. Pero ng modified rebuy, of course it's conditional. Kung bibili sila pero conditional, pwedeng mabawasan, tumaas, o merong konting ibang mga specifications, no? Or about the buyer purchases a product or service for the first time, that's a new task. Bago, no? Bago. Ito yung tulad ng binabanggit natin kanina sa consumer market. Then system solution is selling is become more common, no? So ito nga binibili ngayon, no? Yung pag-integrate ng mga systems. Participants in the buying business buying processes. A buying center is all the individuals and units that participate in the business buying process. No? Okay, so it's a buying center. The buying center is not a fixed or formally identified unit, but kumbaga, it's a grupo, no, in-establish a organization to constitute the buying process. Ano bang mga specifications are needed? Depende kasi sa mga products at mga na kailangan na i-deliver nung task na paggagamitan nyo dun sa produkto o serbisyo. No? And the major influences in the business buyers are the environmental factors, the supply conditions, political regulatory developments, wherein nabanggit din natin to sa chapter 2, chapter 3, the analyzing the market environment. Organizational factors also includes the objectives and procedures. No, yun nga nababanggit ko, nadadaan niya ng procedures. And what are your objectives? Depende sa grupo, sa negosyo naman yan. Interpersonal factors are the authority and empathy. No? Dahil interpersonal, nakadepende sa figurehead o sa head ng organization yung last call sa decision making. Of course, meron siyang personal view dun sa produkto o serbisyo. And individual factors includes the group of people by age, the personality, and the risk attitude. No? Kasi mas malaki yan, grupo yan, hindi lang personal. No? So, the business buying process includes number 1, problem recognition, the general need for description, the product specification, then the supplier search, proposal solicitation, supplier selection, order routine, specification, and performance review. Mostly trabaho ng purchasing officer or purchasing unit ng mga companies. So that's part of your business market. Ito yung ginagawa nila. If there are problem and ano yung kailangan, tapos what specification, hahanap ka ng supplier, hihingi ka ng quotation, yung proposal mula sa supplier, pili ka ng supplier, and then mag-order ka, and then of course i-review mo. Re-rebuy ka ba tulad nung kanina, no, or hindi. So right now you may use the e-purchase, online purchasing can be implemented, no? And most of the businesses right now are going online. They made their products available online, no? So madaling makahanap ng mga suppliers right now. Okay? So that's the end of our discussion. I hope that you enjoyed our topic this day and this chapter. I hope to see you at the next one. I hope that this may help you in your marketing class and help you to think about what constitute the purchase of a product or service. Thank you very much and see you on to the next one.